Today on another episode of Democrats Don't Really Care About the Rule of Law, a man who works for Tim Walz was arrested for serially vandalizing Teslas. I mean, this man keyed like 6 or 7 of them. However, a Soros-funded Democrat district attorney in Minnesota is refusing to send this man to jail and instead is letting him off scot-free. Also, more rogue federal judges are attempting to block Donald Trump's agenda, claiming that they must allow DEI in public schools and that the Trump administration cannot freeze funding for sanctuary cities that are harboring criminal illegal immigrants. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. We got a crazy one today, but let's start from hearing from the Soros-funded district attorney why she's not sending this serial vandalizer to jail.
So diversion is accountability. The case was submitted to us by the police. We did not decline it. We looked at the case. What we really wanted was for the victims in that case to get restitution and for this person to be held accountable. We are accomplishing both of those by requiring him to go through a diversion program and to pay restitution to all 6 victims. What happened to those victims of those Teslas should not have happened. And just like any other property offense, which is one of the lowest level offenses that we have, we seek to hold people accountable in a way that will be consistent with public safety. And diversion is a proven way of doing that.
So the clips that you saw on the top part of the video was the Tim Walz staffer keying 6 Teslas. Like, this man is on a mission to key every single Tesla that he sees without impunity. This comes after Tim Walz was dancing around proudly boasting that Tesla stock was going down, even though the Minnesota Pension Fund holds hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Tesla stock. So it seems like this criminal energy is being pushed from the top down. And it's no surprise that the Democrat DA claims that property damage and property destruction is one of the lowest forms of crime that there is. This is totally on brand, seeing as the Black Lives Matter rioters burned down the entire city of Minneapolis and nobody was charged. In fact, they called it a mostly peaceful protest. So it's totally indicative of the leniency afforded to people on the left when they engage in political violence. But yet they're the ones who scream about the rule of law and how they believe in the rule of law and Donald Trump is violating the rule of law. Oh my God, due process. But they're totally willing to give a slap on the wrist to someone who they deem to be engaging in appropriate political violence because they're so Trump and Elon deranged. Let's hear what Fox News has to say about this debacle.
Governor Tim Walz's administration, we have learned, is off the hook for some serious vandalism. And thank the good Lord nobody was harmed in any of this inside the vehicles. Police arrested this man after surveillance video showed that he was keying 6 Tesla cars, and that caused more than $20,000 in damage. Despite police evidence, the county attorney chose not to go after him. They didn't press any charges. He's special, apparently. Well, this man will only have to reimburse the Tesla owners for damage and complete a diversion program for first-time low-level offenders. Well, that'll help him out. The Minneapolis police chief tore into this decision. He said, quote, "Our investigators are always frustrated when the cases they poured their hearts into are declined. In my experience, the victims in these cases often feel the same," end quote. There is no word on whether the vandal, that's what they're calling him, is still employed by the state.
Again, this isn't somebody who just keyed a Tesla one time because they wanted to feel edgy and wanted to feel like they were fighting Nazism because Elon Musk is such a horrible guy. This is a serial vandalizer who took it upon himself to destroy the property of regular, average, everyday Minnesotans simply because he has a personal vendetta against Elon Musk. This is why the pendulum swung so hard in the other direction, because of the clear, blatant 2-tier system the Democrats established, where if you were on the left, you're allowed to do anything, you're allowed to get away with anything. Your political ideology determines what set of rules will be applied to you. The left doesn't understand that they're the ones creating this destabilizing division, because when they do things such as blow open the border and let tens of millions of illegal immigrants into our country, we want swift and corrective action. Yeah, maybe we would would be more understanding for a slower, more detailed trial of deportations if he didn't fundamentally break the system, thus causing us to resort to extreme measures in order to remedy it. Here's another example of just how fundamentally bizarre and broken the state of Minnesota is. Much like many other Democrat states, now they're offering $7,000 per year per illegal immigrant in free assistance. Watch this.
This would make Minnesota a magnet for more illegal immigrants. If I went to Russia, would I be expecting to get the sorts of benefits that Minnesota taxpayers are giving to people who are here illegally? Illegal immigrants in Minnesota in 2025 will be given $7,000 worth of benefits. $7,000 per person in the form of Minnesota Care benefits here in Minnesota, paid for by Minnesota taxpayers. Over 17,000 people who have already enrolled for this program here in Minnesota. In fiscal year 2025 alone, that is going to equate to at least $107 million in this fiscal year right now.
So the citizens of Minnesota are forced to foot the bill in order for Minnesota government officials to engage in their radical virtue signaling campaign. States like Minnesota and California and Illinois and New York are prioritizing the comfort of illegal immigrants over their own citizens. California last week just asked the federal government for $4 billion on top of their $2 billion loan they recently took out because their government health plan called Medi-Cal is now extremely underwater after allowing all the illegal immigrants onto it. But yet you have Governor Gavin Newsom on X today boasting about how California is now the world's fourth largest economy. Democrats have everything completely ass backwards in terms of their priorities. Here is Tim Walz actually saying that the reason the Democrats lost the election in November is because they didn't double down on how good DEI and illegal immigration was. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Watch.
That our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them. And
So he genuinely believes the reason they lost was because they didn't embrace anti-reality, insane, woke ideology enough. They didn't make the case for why importing tens of millions of illegal immigrants into our country was a good thing. They didn't explain to the American people why racist and divisive DEI policies were actually beneficial. These people refuse to acknowledge the concerns of the American people, and instead they hang their hats on their moral superiority perch and convince themselves that they're righteous and they're compassionate, they're altruistic, and if the American people want to be good people, then they'll get on board with their policies. They believe that the average person who's struggling to pay rent or struggling to put food on their table or worried about teachers indoctrinating their kids in school should completely disregard their legitimate concerns and instead engage in the performative virtue signaling of how kind they are so they can be accepted and praised by blue-haired lunatics who firebomb dealerships, burn down cities, suppress free speech because, it offends them. Well, the people of Minnesota are starting to get tired of the shtick. Here is Tim Walz getting booed by his own state legislator, claiming if you don't care about the deported MS-13 gang member Abrego Garcia, then you actually don't care about the rights and freedoms of all Americans.
Now, in this land of the free and home of the brave, we have university students being swept up, shoved into unmarked vans, and fathers being tossed into Salvadorian gulags without a hint of due process. So I want to be real clear about this. If you say you love freedom, but you don't believe freedom is for everybody, then the thing you love isn't freedom, it's privilege.
See, that's the problem with the entire woke ideology, is they classified privilege as some sort of bad thing. Yes, we enjoy our American privilege. We enjoy the society of freedom and rights and due process that we've built. That is something sacred to America that makes us great. It's something that we want to preserve for our children and grandchildren. It is a privilege to be American. People work hard and they sacrifice in order to elevate their socioeconomic standing so they can take advantage of that privilege. Privilege is a good thing. It's not a concept that needs to be demonized. The Democrats would prefer a system in which everybody is poor and struggling and no one person or group can claim privilege over anybody else. That's the problem with Marxist ideology about equality and equity, is in order to have everybody on the exact same playing field, you have to suppress everybody top down. It's impossible to make everybody filthy stinking rich. Disparities are going to occur for a number of reasons. Some people have more energy and can work longer hours. Some people are smarter and can grasp more advanced topics. These are going to lead to economic disparities. So in order to achieve their egalitarian utopia, the only solution is everybody just has to be dirt poor together. Now, the last couple of things I want to show you in this video are just another blatant attack by the judiciary to thwart the will of the people through their duly elected president. Look at this article from the AP. It says a judge has temporarily halted the White House's push to end diversity, equity, inclusion efforts in K through 12 public schools. So despite us having laws on the books that bar discrimination based on racial characteristics or gender differences, this judge is forcing schools to continue teaching the radical ideology that all white people are evil and every other single race is oppressed, that the real moral value is in being a victim. Anybody who does well, anybody who succeeds in life is exploitative. And you don't want to be exploitative because then you'd be a bad person. So this forces this race to the bottom where people are trying to stack what I like to call sympathy tokens. Because the more victimized you are, the more oppressed you are, the more morally righteous you become. It's an entire breakdown of the social order, just so some liberals can pat themselves on the back and claim that they're such nice people. But that's not the worst thing a federal judge did today. Here's another one. A U.S. judge has barred the Trump administration from cutting federal funding to 16 cities and counties designated as sanctuary jurisdictions. So let me get this straight. These cities are in direct violation of federal law and are openly inviting illegal immigrants to stay there, and they will protect them. And now a judge is forcing the executive branch to give money to cities that are in blatant disobedience of federal law. This is nothing more than pure activism. From judges openly encouraging racism in public schools to now openly encouraging illegal immigration. These sanctuary cities harbor the worst kind of criminals because they know that they have a higher likelihood of not getting deported by living here. And when you combine that with Soros-funded soft on crime district attorneys, you get a situation that endangers the entire public because you get these repeat offenders who commit heinous crimes, are let out of jail, aren't deported, they're let back into the communities to terrorize people some more, and the cycle just perpetually continues. Their best bet was electing a president who said he was going to make their lives safer by getting these violent criminals out of here. But judges are blocking every single effort that Donald Trump is making to do that for them. Like I said in one of my previous videos, I certainly hope it does not come to revolution, but there's only so much the citizens are going to take before the citizens stand up and fight back against rogue activist judges who are declaring that they must have a crappy life, an unsafe life, that their tax dollars must go to illegal immigrants, funding racism in schools, funding teachers being allowed to sexualize their kids, and they have no recourse to remedy this. I hope Pam Bondi brings a federal domestic terrorism charge against this Tim Walz staffer to really prove a point. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.